My name is Vivian Smurl, and I work in the Federal Program Compliance Division at the Texas Education Agency. In this webinar, I will be providing you with general information about the Title I Part A program. This presentation is intended as an introduction to the Title I Part A program. It includes a broad summary of key program elements and should be considered a starting point rather than a definitive list of program requirements. The content of the presentation will follow the basic structure of the Title I Part A program guide, which will be available on the TEA website as of May 15, 2020. All the resources cited in this presentation are available as active links through the Title I Part A program guide. The Title I Part A program began when the Elementary and Secondary Education Act was passed by Congress in 1965 as part of President Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty. The original legislation has been reauthorized and amended several times, including the Stafford-Hawkins Act of 1988, the Improving America's Schools Act of 1994, the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, and most recently, the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015 and its subsequent amendments. Although some of the implementation details in the authorizing legislation has changed over the years, the statutory intent and purpose of the Title I Part A program has remained remarkably consistent: to provide all children significant opportunity to receive a fair, equitable, and high-quality education, and to close educational achievement gaps. Title I Part A funds are allocated by the U.S. Department of Education based on each local education agency's, or LEA's, eligibility for 4 statutory formulas: basic grants, concentration grants, targeted grants, and education finance incentive grants. There are several factors that affect the allocation amounts that LEAs receive. These include the periodic census updates that occur in between the 10-year census counts, hold harmless amounts that are prescribed in statute to help maintain consistency for those LEAs that experience fluctuations in student populations, and set-asides that are allowed in statute. These set-asides include state-level administration, school improvement activities under Section 1003, and charter school funding. The process of determining specific allocation amounts is described in the ESSA Funding Formula Reference Manual, which is available through the TEA website. To find it, type ESSA Funding Formula Reference Manual in the website's search field. The term local education agency refers to public school districts as well as to public charter schools. To receive the Title I Part A funds that have been allocated, LEAs apply online through the Consolidated Federal Grant Application on eGrants. The sections of the application that are most relevant to Title I Part A are the SC 5003, which contains the program-specific provisions and assurances, the SC 5000, where the LEA lists the low-income information for each of its campuses and indicates which campuses will be served with Title I Part A funds, the PS 3101, where the LEA reserves Title I Part A funds at the LEA level, and the relevant budget schedules and waiver schedules that are completed as needed. Campus eligibility is a topic that the Title I Part A program staff should review prior to completing the SC 5000. Detailed information about the campus eligibility rules is available in the Campus Eligibility section of the Title I Part A program guide. We should mention here that we have chosen to cite section titles of the program guide rather than specific page numbers. The program guide is designed with question and answer sections throughout, which will be updated periodically, so the pagination of the document will change. The section titles in the table of contents, however, have been linked to internal bookmarks to facilitate navigation through the program guide, even as the page numbers change. One of the links provided under Web Resources in the Campus Eligibility section of the program guide is a guidance document for completing the SC 5000. The program description aspect of the Title I Part A application has been streamlined significantly. As a result, the LEA Plan, or District Improvement Plan, has become the vehicle for many of the required program descriptions. Please refer to the LEA Plan and Application section of the Title I Part A program guide to ensure that program staff are familiar with the required descriptions and assurances, as well as the required stakeholder participation. There are two kinds of campus-based Title I Part A programs. School-wide programs, which generally require a campus low-income percentage to be at or above 40%, and targeted assistance programs, which are operated by Title I Part A eligible campuses that do not meet the school-wide eligibility criteria or that choose not to operate a school-wide program. Some aspects of the Title I Part A program may be operated at the LEA level through funds that are reserved for that purpose in the consolidated application. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. First, let's look a little closer at school-wide programs. We said earlier that to be eligible to operate as a school-wide program, a campus has to have a low-income percentage of at least 40%. That requirement can be met in several ways, which are described in the program guide. The main characteristic of a school-wide program is that all students are eligible for services. They don't have to meet criteria in order to be served. There are three elements that must be present in every Title I Part A school-wide program. The first is a comprehensive needs assessment. The comprehensive needs assessment drives the development and revision of the campus improvement plan, which is the second element. The third element is the evaluation of effectiveness. The results of this evaluation should be part of the following year's comprehensive needs assessment, as the campus assesses what worked well in helping students meet the state student achievement standards and close the achievement gaps. Additional information about required stakeholders and the planning requirements for school-wide programs is available in the School-Wide Program Requirements section of the Title I Part A program guide. Targeted assistance programs are different from school-wide programs in that not all students are eligible to receive services. The LEA must identify eligible students based on multiple, educationally related, objective criteria, so that the campus program is targeted to those students who are failing or most at risk of failing to meet the criteria. In a targeted assistance program, only those students who are identified as failing or most at risk of failing according to the LEA's criteria may receive services. Only instructional staff involved with those students may receive services. And only parents of those students may receive services. Additional information about the requirements for targeted assistance programs is available in the Targeted Assistance Program Requirements section of the Title I Part A program guide. Title I Part A is primarily a campus-based program. An LEA that receives Title I Part A funds must select campuses based on the campus eligibility rules and operate either school-wide or targeted assistance programs. The LEA must allocate Title I Part A funds to these campuses based on the number of low-income students. Earlier, we mentioned that LEAs can reserve funds at the LEA level in order to conduct certain activities for the benefit of Title I Part A campuses, either as a whole group or as a subset. Actually, there are several cases when such reservations are required. On the PS 3101 in the consolidated application, an LEA must reserve funds in order to provide equitable services to eligible students attending private nonprofit schools. The LEA must also reserve funds to provide services to homeless students, regardless of whether the campus the homeless student attends is a Title I campus or not. Also, if the LEA's entitlement is greater than $500,000, the LEA must reserve a minimum of 1% of its entitlement for parent and family engagement requirements. On the PS 3101, the LEA may also reserve funds for certain district-wide Title I Part A activities such as preschool programs, professional development, parent and family engagement, and administrative costs. There has been some confusion about what a district-wide Title I Part A program is. Let's start by being clear about what it's not. A district-wide Title I Part A program does not mean that non-Title I Part A campuses can participate. In fact, the only time that students attending a non-Title I campus can receive Title I Part A services is when the students are homeless. And even in that case, the homeless students receive the services from the district through a reservation of funds, not from the Title I Part A allocation to a non-Title I campus. Otherwise, only Title I Part A campuses participate in programs provided through Title I Part A funds reserved at the district level. A district-wide Title I preschool program only includes Title I Part A campuses with preschool students. Detailed information about the rules for campus allocations and LEA reservations, including specific examples, is available in those sections of the Title I Part A program guide. Parent and family engagement is a huge part of the Title I Part A program. Section 1116, which deals with the parent and family engagement in the statute, is longer than either the school-wide program section or the targeted assistance program section. There is no way to do the parent and family engagement requirements justice in an overview. For now, I will just list the main topics that you will need to review in more detail to ensure that your LEA is in compliance. Statute is very specific about what each of these areas entails. The LEA written parent and family engagement policy, the campus written parent and family engagement policy, the school parent compacts, the shalls and mays of what the district must do and what the district may do, the required minimum reservation if the Title I Part A entitlement exceeds $500,000, a list of what the parent's right to know includes, and accessibility issues. Detailed information about all of these requirements for the Title I Part A Parent and Family Engagement Program is available in the Parent and Family Engagement section of the program guide. The Title I Part A Parent and Family Engagement statewide initiatives has a wealth of information and resources available on the Region 16 website. There are live links with the Parent and Family Engagement Web Resources section of the program guide, or you can access them directly at www.esc16.net. There are checklists, training materials, videos, and templates available to use as is or to tailor to your LEA's needs. Title I Part A has three major fiscal requirements. Each of them has specific rules to ensure that the federal funds do not replace state funds. The first of these is maintenance of effort. The second is supplement, not supplant. And the third is comparability of services. Each of these topics is really a training in itself. So here, we will simply direct you to the fiscal requirements section of the program guide so that you can find the links to the appropriate handbooks and worksheets. Most of the questions that we get about Title I Part A start with, can we do blank with our Title I Part A funds? We sometimes joke about the correct answer, saying that it always has to start with "it depends." But truly, there are very few instances where we can give a stock answer. Each LEA must make these determinations for itself based on its specific circumstances. We have, however, created a one-page reference sheet that can guide LEAs through a set of requirements that each use of Title I Part A funds must meet in order to be in compliance with the allowable uses of funds. The first of these, the campus in question must be a Title I Part A campus. Second, the LEA must have a valid supplement, not supplant methodology or statement of exemption. And third, the LEA must ensure that the activities are identified in the Comprehensive Needs Assessment, included in the Campus Improvement Plan, and that plan must address how the activity will be evaluated and how the needs of the students at risk of not meeting the state academic standards are being met. The activity must be reasonable, necessary to carry out the intent and purpose of the Title I Part A program, allocable to the grant, and allowable under Title I Part A. Ensuring that the LEA has justifications for each of these points can help if an auditor questions costs during an audit. Having this documentation does not necessarily mean that an auditor will agree with the LEA, but it at least ensures that the LEA can show evidence of its thinking. Additional resources that may assist LEAs with use of funds questions are available in the Use of Funds section of the program guide. Title I Part A funds are intended to be used during the grant year that they are initially allocated. This means that the funds that become available July 1 are intended to be spent by September 30th of the following year, which is a span of 15 months. However, as indicated on the LEA's Notice of Grant Award, Title I Part A funds are governed by the Tidings Amendment, which allows the LEA an additional 12 months in which to expend the grant funds. So, Title I Part A funds that are not spent during the first grant year can be carried over into the following grant year. It is important to note, however, that the Title I Part A statute also limits the amount of funds that can be carried over from one grant year to the next to 15%. Funds that exceed the limit are subject to being returned to the agency. Because there can be circumstances that make the limitation on carryover difficult, the statute also provides a waiver that can help keep LEAs from having to return funds. An LEA may use its statutory waiver of the carryover limitation once every 3 years. In the event that the LEA exceeds the limitation more frequently and the statutory waiver is not available, agency staff will use an EdFlex waiver to allow the excess carryover if the LEA has had an increase in Title I Part A funding from its planning amount to its final allocation amount. These waivers will be initiated by agency staff if the waivers are needed and available. Unlike other programs under ESSA that follow Section 8501 to determine requirements for equitable services to private schools, Title I has its own requirements written into Section 1117. The primary reason for this is that the way Title I Part A funds are generated for equitable services and the way eligibility for services is determined are different from the other programs. As with targeted assistance programs in the public schools, the students who generate funds for equitable services to private schools are not necessarily the same students who are eligible for services. Private school students who generate funds reside in an eligible attendance area and meet low-income criteria. Private school students who are eligible for services reside in an eligible public school attendance area and meet the educational criteria. Unlike other programs, the LEA might be serving students who attend private schools that are outside the LEA's boundaries. It is the LEA's responsibility to contact private schools where students residing within the LEA's boundaries attend. If the LEA does have low-income students attending private school, there are specific consultation requirements that the LEAs must comply with. Likewise, the LEA is required to offer services consistent with the equitable services amount that is generated, after determining, in consultation with the private school, what the needs of the eligible private school students are. Detailed information concerning these requirements is available in the section on private school equitable services. Title I Part A has a federal report card requirement in statute. To help LEAs meet this requirement, the agency provides a web-based system to generate the federal report cards. The system is updated annually. To access the federal report cards, the LEA should start at the TEA's main webpage at www.tea.state.gov. Find the search box for the TEA website and enter Federal Report Card. Click Go to search. From the Federal Report Card page, find the link to the Federal Report Card system and click. Once inside the system, the LEA can search for and download PDF files for the state, LEA, and campus reports it will need to comply with the federal reporting requirements. At a minimum, in order to be in compliance with the federal report card requirement, the LEA must post direct links to the PDF files for the state, LEA, and campus report cards on the LEA's website, make hard copies of the reports available to parents on request, make hard copies of the reports available for viewing in public locations, and notify parents of all students about the availability of the report cards and the options for obtaining them. The LEA must provide appropriate translation, either oral or written, upon request. The agency monitors compliance with the Title I Part A program requirements in several ways. One of these ways is through the ESSA Consolidated Compliance Report. On the PR 1000, the LEA provides estimates of the reservation amounts expended and responds to the program implementation questions indicating compliance and the availability of documentation. The information provided is subject to verification by agency staff. A second way is through the random validation process. Every year, the agency selects certain program requirements and conducts a validation of a random sample of LEAs. Usually, these are spread among Education Service Center regions to ensure that all areas of the state are subject to the process. A third way is through the federal fiscal monitoring that is conducted by the agency's audit staff. LEAs are assigned a risk level based on agency criteria, and a certain number of LEAs at each risk level are monitored by the audit staff. The Federal Program Compliance Division is working to provide resources to assist program staff implement the Title I Part A program correctly and effectively. Central to this effort has been the creation of a program guide that can serve as both a downloadable resource and an online dashboard to access other resources. The Title I Part A program guide is scheduled to be available on the division website no later than May 15, 2020. Online features of the program guide that should assist LEAs include a table of contents that is directly linked to each section listed. Simply mouse over the section title you want to see and click. The bookmark will take you directly to that section of the document. There's also an A to Z topic list for ease of use. Sometimes it's simpler to find topics through an alphabetical index rather than a table of contents. Here again, the direct links in the online document should take you to the section you want. There's also a list of acronyms. Sometimes we forget to define the acronyms we use so frequently in our education ease. Most sections contain a set of direct links to other web-based resources, such as handbooks, checklists, and templates that offer additional information to assist LEAs meeting the many requirements under Title I Part A. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, additional flexibility in the administration of federal grant programs is likely to be issued by the U.S. Department of Education. Any additional flexibility for the Title I Part A program that is available to LEAs related to COVID-19 will be provided on TEA's Grant Compliance and Administration page. The Title I Part A program contacts at TEA in the Federal Program Compliance Division can be reached in the following ways. The General Division phone number is 512-463-9499. You can leave a message if it goes to voicemail at this number, and it will be distributed to the appropriate program staff. The most efficient way of reaching the Title I Part A program staff is through the ESSA support mailbox. That's at essaSupport@tea.texas.gov. This email is monitored by several division staff throughout the day, and your question will be routed to the appropriate program area. The division director is Anita Villarreal. She's also the state director for Title I Part A. Anita may be reached either through the division number listed or through her desk number at 512-463-9244. Her TEA email is anita.villarreal@tea.texas.gov. Jaime Huerta is the program director for Title I Part A. He may be reached at 512-463-9310 or at his email jaime.huerta@tea.texas.gov. Thank you for your attention during this presentation. Please do not hesitate to contact us with questions. We will be happy to assist you.